First of all, as most of you are probably aware, Hurricane Katrina was the largest natural disaster in the history of the United States. Between the two hurricanes, 90,000 square miles of damage, and some of that overlapped as well. To give you an idea what that looks like, 90,000 square miles, that's the size of Great Britain, that's the size of Kansas, that has had some type of damage occur because of this past hurricane season, these two hurricanes in particular. Okay, it's huge, and as the numbers begin to pile up for what that looks like, we're talking about 225,000 homes that were either flood damaged or wind damaged or both. And of those 225,000 homes, almost half, about 100,000, are in the greater New Orleans area. Okay, so staggering numbers to think about. When you talk about damage as far as property and vehicle damage, 500,000 cars are flood damaged. That's crazy. If you're gonna, and we've talked about that a little bit, be aware if you're getting a steal of a deal somewhere up north, because you probably are. Make sure you check the records on that. About 50% of those cars will be resold, so keep that in mind. As far as natural disaster is concerned, the number that really staggers my mind is in the state of Mississippi alone, that there was enough lumber lost by either the twisting or the breaking off of trees and limbs to build 600,000 2,000 square foot homes. That's incredible. I didn't know that there were that many trees in Mississippi. But, and that's just Mississippi alone. So you talk about the scope of this and the numbers are just mind-boggling. As we look at the city of New Orleans, we see other numbers as well. We talked about the 100,000 homes or so in this area that were affected by the hurricane. 80% of this city was at one time covered in water. Anywhere from where we're standing, 6 inches of water, to all the way to 12 feet of water in some of the lower lying areas in the southeast corner of the city, in the Chalmette and down in the southeast corners. And when those levees broke, that effectively, it took care of any type of pumping, any way to get the water out of the city was ruined until those levees were fixed. Before the hurricane, it was the greater New Orleans area was about 1 million people. And of those 1 million people, about 250,000, 300,000 now have returned. So the city is about 1/3 full. For the other folks, they live somewhere else now. Many of them want to come back, but they can't. They have a job, they have a life that they've started new, but they still have a responsibility to clean up their property and at least try and sell it or possibly try and move back in. But it's hard when you're working a full-time job and you don't have days off to go into these homes, to commute back 3, 4, 5 hours, some fly in from Houston for weekends just to muck out their house and fly home. We talk about the sheer numbers of things at the beginning of your experience for one reason. And that's so now that we've talked about the huge scope of stuff, how big this is, how long this is going to take, anywhere from 5 to 20 years, the recuperation process. Now we take that information and we set it aside, and we don't think about that anymore. We now become focused on the people that we're helping this week, those homes that we are going to be in, those churches that we are going to be helping, because that's what this is about. One house at a time, one relationship at a time. and one situation at a time. That's the only way that this can be done. And if there's enough people down here and enough different organizations doing the same thing, then it will get done. So that's how we try and focus, is one situation at a time. One of the analogies that is kind of a famous one that really seems to apply here is the starfish on the beach. Goes something like, two gentlemen were out on the beach one day, a young man and an older man, and the older man was sitting at the edge of the beach watching this young man as he was going up and down the beach with tens of thousands of starfish that were stranded up on the beach. And the young man was picking them up and throwing them back in the water, and picking them up and throwing them back in the water. And the old man watched him for a while and yelled down to him, "Hey, do you really think you're making a difference? There's tens of thousands of starfish on there. How can you think that you're making any impact at all?" And the young man picks up a starfish and throws it in. He said, "I made a difference for that one." And that's really how we have to look at it, is we're making a difference for the home that we're in, for the family we're in, with the church that we happen to be working with. Wherever we happen to be working, we're making a difference for them. And that has effects that go out.